Hello and welcome to the Astoria podcast, where we're getting to know our neighbors and those who help our community thrive. I'm your host, Bree Matan. Astoria is home to so much unique talent, and that's why I want you to meet my next guest, who has been called the Oprah of Astoria. But to me, she is the one and only Ella Louise Smith. In this episode, we discuss falling in love with our spouses, good food, and our mothers. Her and her husband Powell produce The Kong Show that provides a space for diverse acts to perform throughout our neighborhood. Ella has a gift that lets people feel seen and included. She has so much love for this community, and I'm excited to celebrate her and let you know more about this incredible woman. Thank you, Ella Louise Smith, for coming and talking with me. You are a co-producer of the Powella Productions, which has been in business for 20 years.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Over 20 years. Yeah, but 20 years.
Yeah, you are a co-producer of The Kong Show, which I hope you'll talk a little bit about. And you are a member of the Astoria Filmmakers Club. And recently you won Miss Congeniality for the Miss Subways contest at Coney Island.
Yes, that was exciting.
So I definitely want to hear about that. And I have a whole bunch of questions for you, but mostly I kind of want to turn it over to you, and I want to hear about Powella Productions and about you. And
Oh, great. Well, Powella Productions, my husband and co-producer is Powell. I'm Ella. So together we are Powella Productions. And what we do is we make events. We partner with local businesses and local performers. The performers are incredible that live right here in Astoria. There's such a diverse array of performers that are living right here in Astoria, and we tap into that. We have musicians and magicians and songwriters, singers, sketch comedy, stand-up comics. And we put together signature events for restaurants, which we began doing to just encourage people to stay local and, well, to explore also, but to bring live performance to spaces that may not usually have had live performance, or live performance to spaces that they're used to having live music, but how about a magician? You're used to having live music, but how about having a little sketch comedy show? You might used to be having a stand-up comic, but what about a variety show? So the variety show is the Kong Show. It's the live variety show. We bring it to different spaces, different restaurants and venues to have one-night-only events where you can follow us on The Kong Show on TV, which is our Instagram handle, to see what are the next upcoming events. So what we do is, like we just say, we make events. If you want to have us at an event, we'll come and bring our performers. And what the concept is to be supportive of local performers and be supportive of local businesses.
oh, that's wonderful. One of the things that drew me to you and what made me want to have you come on the Astoria podcast is you said it there, like the diverse types of talent. And what I love about that is Powella Productions and The Kong Show give a very unique platform to acts that you wouldn't normally get to see.
Exactly.
And you not only provide a space for those acts, but then you also record them so that those acts can, point to something on the internet. And if you're not on the internet, you practically don't exist these days. So,
Right, that's why we have the live show and then the recorded show. Because you also have the people that will love the internet is their thing. They're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube and Vimeo.
Yeah.
And we'll release the show. There are people that will watch it there. And so we do a show within a show there. The show within the show is taking the live performance pieces from the events and then putting it in a fictional studio. The fictional studio is KNGTV. The studio doesn't actually exist. It's in the imagination, and it's scripted. There's a scripted staff. And the antics like a workplace, it's like The Office, except it's taking place at a fictional KNGTV. So you have the antics of the management that are talking about the performers that are on stage. The on stage are filmed from the actual restaurants and venues that we've been at, and then it becomes The Kong Show on TV. The daily antics that are happening at the office space, and then you get a peek at a section of a live performance, but it's filmed.
Yeah, that's so cool. You and your husband developed this, is that correct?
Yes, my husband Powell Leonard, he goes by Chucky Baby.
Okay.
Powell Chucky Baby Leonard. The name Chucky Baby is taken from the original Chucky Baby, which was Chuck Barris. I don't know if you remember the 1970s. It was called The Gong Show.
Oh, okay. So I can see a little bit of like inspiration.
It was the inspiration. We put the K on for like King Kong and New York and the Gong Show, so it became the Kong Show.
Oh, that's cool.
But Chuck Barris, we got to go to his 80th birthday party when he was at Borders Books. Borders Books no longer exists, but he was having a book signing for a book called Who Killed Art Deco? And a serious art critic came, thinking it was going to be a serious discussion of Art Deco. He said, no, this is a murder mystery about Arthur Deco. It's a fictional.
Honestly, that sounded more fun to me.
It was very fun. And we gave him one of our mascots. We have a mascot called Lenny the Lion-Hearted Sketch Comedy Player. It's a little lion. He has like a little Kong Show on TV button.
Oh, cute.
And we gifted him that. He gave us the thumbs up. Chuck Barris gave us the thumbs up. From the Gong Show to the Kong Show.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So that was nice too. He was an amazing person to meet.
Oh, that's so cool. I absolutely love that. And now the first time that I actually met you in person, you were emceeing the Astor Award ceremony for the Astoria Filmmakers Club.
Yes.
And I was very impressed. Like I had already researched you a little bit before I went there and met you in person, but I was very impressed because it was the first time that they were doing the award show.
It was their first show.
And so they were still figuring some things out, but like you, and I'm sure you and your team brought together, you guys had a buffet, there was drinks, there was raffles, you had cupcakes by Crystal's Confections, who's actually going to be on the show.
Oh, Crystal was amazing.
And it was a wonderful time. And my husband and I have done some short films together. We've done several 48-hour films.
Oh, very nice.
And for people who don't know what the 48-hour film festival is, it's basically like on Friday night, you pull a genre out of a hat, and then you are given 3 requirements. You have to include a character that you're assigned, a prop that you're assigned, and a line that has to be included in the script. And this prevents people from doing work ahead of time because they have to base their entire film on those 3 criteria. And then Friday night you're told to go, and then in the next 48 hours you have to completely write your script, shoot your script, edit it, and release it by Sunday night.
Wow.
And it is incredibly intense.
Wow.
It basically, you really have to love film and filmmaking to be a part of something like that. And you have to have a really good working relationship with your team because there is no time to spare. Like it's very intense stuff. And like just recently, we've done one 48-hour film with a crew. They advertised on Reddit and they were like, does anyone want to do this? And my husband and I were like, oh my gosh, let's go help these young kids out. They weren't that young, but compared to us, they were pretty young. And since we had done so many of them, we sort of acted as their
mentor.
We tried to be hands off. Like we wanted them to have the experience, but having done so many of them, like a lot of things that people overlook is like making sure there's food for the crew or making sure there's a bathroom or just like somebody to care for the crew.
Right.
Because like it's so intense. Everyone gets at each other's throats because there's so much stress.
Right.
And you need someone to sort of be like the set mom and dad basically. So that's kind of what we went to do, and it was a blast.
Oh, that is so nice. I like that. They said caring for the crew and making sure that there's food for the crew, and making sure that they have places for water and rest. And
because you don't think about that.
Yeah.
And to get the best performance in an incredibly short amount of time, all that stuff has to be taken care of. And so we like to provide that because it's fun to like foster that creativity in people and you know, and it's great. We're starting to get so old. I don't know how many more we can do because it wears you out. It wears you out.
Yeah.
Like you got to recover.
Okay.
But anyway, all right. Moving on. Enough about that. But the reason I bring all of that up is because I want to have you talk about the Astoria Filmmakers Club and how you got involved with that. And
the Astoria Filmmakers Club. It was quite an experience being part of their very first film festival and doing the Astor Awards. We also got to have the Kong Show shown at the Zucker Theater, right around the corner from the Kaufman Astoria and the Kaufman Astoria Arts District. So there was a screening of the Kong Show pilot. It's called The Last Pilot, which is the title because we had done the pilot many times.
Yeah.
And we kept on like reiterating it. And then we submitted it to the Astoria Filmmakers Club. The Astoria Filmmakers Club is run by Phil Capadora. And I had actually reached out to him because we were doing a show at the Kong Show, which was the live show, featuring Tommy Burnett, who is an incredible mentalist. He was a mind reader, the man who knows too much. We were also featuring Renee Clement, who was Magician of the Year many years ago, and you've seen on WPix 11. We also had Rogue Kwan, who was on America's Got Talent. We had just a lot of incredible performers that are part of the Kong Show and the Kong Show on TV. And so when Phil was putting together the Astoria Filmmakers Astor Awards, they had a really nice awards ceremony, but they said, what about some live performers? And they reached out to me and said, can you get us some performers to do the pre-show? And so I reached out to Bob Greenberg, who does this incredible Jackie Gleason impression. Whoop and zoom.
Yeah. I was there for that. It was good.
He's great. I think he should be an MC for one of their next upcoming events because he's just really great.
Yeah.
And a consummate professional and a delight to work with.
Oh,
and
wonderful.
his performance, you saw. Yes. You're thinking of The Honeymooners. It takes you back to that whole television era.
Yeah.
TV.
That's great.
So he was one of the performers, and Renee Clement performed, and he's the magician who was the Magician of the Year in International Brotherhood of Magicians, and he's so talented, and he's always willing to be in the community sharing his talent.
Oh, wow.
And so he's just very amazing. It was amazing to have him there. And then we also had Annie and Russ came and performed music for the Astor Awards for the Astoria Filmmakers Festival, and she was amazing. And she also was a contestant in the Subways contest. There were Subways as well,
that's
so I
cool.
got to see her again when we were at Coney Island for the
That's
festival.
a perfect segue. So tell me about that. Tell me about winning Miss Congeniality and the Subway contest.
I was so surprised. I was excited too. Yeah. Well, the Miss Subways contest is run by the City Reliquary Museum. I believe it's a contest that was in the 1940s, 1950s, and they've revived it. It's a relic, the City Reliquary. They had a beauty inclusive contest, so it also has all ages, all genders. We even had a canine contestant.
Oh, no way! That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's like field wide open to creativity.
Yeah, I love that.
And the reigning Miss Subways is Dylan Mars. And he was Miss Subways for more than a year because he stayed Miss Subways all during the pandemic because there wasn't a contest, so he continued to hold the title.
Sure.
And he is incredible. And I'm still learning to use people's correct
It's,
genders.
as am I. Yeah.
Okay, so I will say Dylan.
Dylan.
They were crazy. They were doing like all these poses, and the crowd was screaming. And then it was at Littlefield that they did the contest.
Yeah.
And then Dylan handed over the tiara, the crown, to the new Miss Subways, who is Harmony Hardcore.
Oh.
And her name is just so amazing. But she did this like LED light show with these twirling lights and then these hula hoops and just outstanding talent. You could see that she was the winner. She's the winner. She's going to be for 2023. We hope to be in either on a float or invited to walk in the Mermaid Parade with the reigning Miss Subways, Harmony Hardcore, and also past Miss Congenialities and
wonderful.
past Miss Subways, And so it was just like having this title. It's like so fun to be able to say the City Reliquary Museum has crowned you to represent what's great about the city, what's great about traveling the subway.
Yes, I love it.
So I'm very excited to be Miss Congeniality 2023 as my character, Ms. E with the Z from the Kong Show on TV. That's how I appeared for the contest.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I'm one of the Miss Congenialities. There's another Miss Congeniality. Her name is Chantel, and she does the shimmy. Chantel does the shimmy. And she is a model, and so gorgeous and so, congenial. So of course she won. She was also a runner-up.
Oh, gosh. I just absolutely love it. I only was able to look at the photos after the fact, but it looked like such a blast.
Oh, it was a blast, and I met so many amazing people. I met another Astorian, and I feel that she should have gotten a title too if they had another title for like most creative costume. She came as a character that looked kind of like Doc Ock, But her name is MX Scientist. And she's also a historian. She came in a lab coat, and then she had all these, when she moved her arms, the arms moved too, you know how like all the little
very
tentacles, she had the
cool.
tentacles, and
Wow.
she had an assistant.
Yeah, that's great. Oh my gosh.
And she had this computer that was made out of like, of course it was cardboard, but it looked like a little computer console or like components.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, such creativity. It was amazing.
Yeah.
MX.
Yeah.
Capital M, capital X. She's
Wonderful.
also a comedian, I understand, so I want to check out her.
Oh,
her work.
yeah. Wow.
So what I love about being part of Powella Productions, our whole concept is to connect people and to provide a platform for greater visibility.
Yeah.
And so we're also inviting people that might not otherwise see live performers or something unusual to come in to like their neighborhood restaurant and then sit down, and that night their live performers that actually live in their neighborhood are coming to entertain them, and they get to know them and they can follow them, and when they go to do their other gigs that they are doing.
Right.
And one of my favorite places is Burger Village Astoria. They've been so welcoming to us and allowing us to do special events at Burger Village. They have a mic set up where you can have, they have the live music, but they also had our magicians there.
Yeah. Now, where's Burger Village?
Burger Village is off of Broadway and 41st Street. They have a
perfect.
semi-private party room. We had a birthday party for an amazing poet, Madeline Artenberg there. The poets came, they put out the mic, they read poetry, and then we had music and danced, and it's like a burger joint. And they also have a full bar with
nice.
specialty cocktails.
Oh, so you can really have a whole night there. Like it just.
We had a whole very nice night there.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. We're going to take a short break, but when we return, things get personal. Why the hell did you decide to marry your husband? I'm sure he's a delight. Stay tuned. And we're back with Ella Louise Smith of Powella Productions. All right, well, now I want to shift this a little bit. You're involved with everything. It's amazing. And I want to talk more about you personally and some of your inspirations. And I am curious, so you and your husband have done Powella Productions. You've been in business for 20 years.
Yes.
I'm curious, how did you meet your husband? Why did you decide to start Powella Productions? How did that happen?
I thought you were going to say, why did I decide to marry you?
Yeah. Why the hell did you decide to marry your husband? I'm sure he's a delight. I mean, you can tell me if you want. It might be a good story. So yeah, just whatever you feel like sharing. Tell me about you and Powella Productions. And
Well, I'll tell you how I met my husband, because that's kind of the start of Powella Productions, because it's his brainchild. Who says it's us together? It is us together. But I met my husband. He was somebody else's blind date.
Oh, all right. Now this is getting good. Now
He was somebody else's blind date.
if you're just tuning in, anyway, go on.
He calls himself a party favor. I was like, oh, what?
Oh, wow.
So, as at a party that I was a guest of the birthday girl, and he was being introduced to the birthday girl, but no one told me, hands off, this handsome, talented, funny guy is already kind of spoken for.
Right.
Not really. I mean, a blind date's not like really spoken for, right?
Right, exactly. Right, exactly.
And so I had gone to the party, and I didn't know. I had asked the hostess, what should I bring to the party? And she said, bring some food. Now, there was a cross-cultural miscommunication, because when you tell a black person to bring food, you bring food. I brought fried chicken, like a panel. I know that's stereotypical, and some people might take offense.
Yeah.
But I brought fried chicken.
I'm inviting you to my next party.
Yeah, I'll bring fried chicken. There's fried chicken, crispy fried chicken. There's Maryland fried chicken. I'll bring them both. So people were like, oh my gosh, stereotypical. But I thought, let me introduce something that I love from my culture to your party. I did not know it was a crudités on little crackers party.
Oops.
With a bunch of people who were aspiring like models and such. So this was offensive to them.
Oh my gosh.
Because they were having like, little crackers with a little something on it, a little,
Right. Barely eating anything.
Barely eating anything.
Right.
Barely eating anything.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay. So then I was a little embarrassed. And then one of the guests went up and said to the hostess, ooh, there's chicken on the bone on the table. Ew.
Oh, man.
Yuck. I'm like, what? So she said, oh, okay, I'll remove it to the kitchen.
Oh, geez.
So she removed the chicken off the table and put it in the kitchen. I was like, well, I'm going to go eat some of my chicken first before I mingle. So I went to sit down at the kitchen table, and who should come running in to say, I hear that there's chicken in the kitchen? Except Powell.
Oh,
that's how we met.
That is so romantic. I love that story. That is amazing.
Yeah.
And so did you immediately be like, let's start a production company, or?
He was working at that time, I believe, for the Murray Hill Players as their house manager, and they were looking for some scripts for a children's hour. And I was writing scripts that were comedy for children, because I was at Hunter College and I was studying developmental theater and also in the theater department. So I said, I had a couple of scripts. So when we first met, it was like a business meeting because we were meeting to look over the scripts that I had and to see if they might be useful for the concept that they wanted to have for children's theater. So that's how we first met. And he was sure to be very businesslike. He was like, I have an early day tomorrow. Let's look over your scripts. I didn't like him at all at first.
Yeah.
So I wasn't even sure if our first date was an actual date or a business meeting. It wasn't clear.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
so you had to have a few more business meetings.
Yeah, then we had a date where he made this ham that was glazed with pink champagne.
Oh, wow.
And then I was like, oh, this is a date.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that.
Yeah, we had dinner at his house. That was the date. And I was like, wow, this man can cook. There's this phrase we have it's called, the man can burn.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. My husband and I also bonded over him cooking.
See?
Yes,
Yeah,
the way
the
to a woman's heart is
can
through
cook.
her son. Oh my gosh, and he's so good at cooking.
Oh, great.
And I am not very good at cooking. I'm practicing, I'm trying to learn. But when we were very first dating, he would come over to my house and I didn't even own a pizza cutter. And so he would just start bringing kitchen gadgets over to my house.
That's nice.
And leaving them. And so when we moved in together, then we ended up having
double
two
of
things.
everything.
But he was like, I want to cook for you, but you don't even have dishes. He really helped me learn a lot.
It's a whole other world, in the kitchen. He'll even tell me, woman, get out of my kitchen.
I love it.
I'm like, okay, that's fine by me. I'll sit down.
Yeah, bring me something delicious.
Yeah. Bring me something delicious. I mean, besides just you.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Nice. Oh my gosh, I love that. So I had you fill out a questionnaire, and I asked, how would your friends describe you? And you wrote, my friends call me Astoria's answer to Oprah.
Oh, yes.
And then you also mentioned that Oprah is an inspiration for you. So can you explain that more?
Yeah, Astoria's answer to Oprah, or the Oprah of Astoria. Yes. Zoe Easy Got Jokes, who's a comedian I got to interview as part of a program that I used to do for Live One TV. I've since moved on from Live One TV. They've gone in a different direction. But I had a show called Entertainment with Ella. But before the performers performed, we'd have a little chat like this, chat about their influences, what is their inspiration, and what were they going to show us from their performance. And we had Zoe Easy Got Jokes, who was the winner of the Black Indie Roundtable Comedy, New York, New Jersey, and Comedy Contest. He was introduced to us because I was doing a show with my husband, Powell. We were on the Indie Black Film Channel's contest for Roku TV.
Oh.
And we've had many votes as one of the diversity votes. And in order to be on the Indie Black Film Channel on Roku TV, you had to have at least 2 Black characters in your show. And the show that we have, Kong Show, takes place as a fictional TV station, KNG TV, and I play the manager and I play her ditzy twin sister. So that
So
it's 2 characters,
you got it. All right.
One Black performer. And part of what they do with the Indie Black Film, they introduce their members to each other and say, you might work well together. And they introduced me to Zoe Easy Got Jokes, who's doing a campaign for Destination to Wellness through laughter. And so he came and was part of one of our comedy variety shows. And I also got to interview him on Entertainment with Ella. And he began calling me the Oprah of Astoria. And whenever I would come to one of his events, he would introduce me. We have some VIPs in the house, and he mentions all the people of note that are in the audience. And he goes, and we also have the Oprah of Astoria.
I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
And I do think, I mean, I don't know this person, but it is kind of fitting. Like, I think the way that you bring people together and make those connections.
Oh yeah, it's like now one thing that is I'm stuttering because I'm so excited. But one of the things he does every last Sunday of the month, he's at Savannah's, a restaurant in Harlem, and people come there from all 5 boroughs to Savannah's to Harlem.
Oh, that's so great.
And he did a celebration celebrating city workers.
Yeah.
Because this is a time where we're like reviving after all of the events of, being in lockdown, pandemic,
oh man,
working from home, which was a good and bad thing, and just anyone who's lost anyone. Man, he was like having a time that everyone comes together and laughs, like we're alive, we're here. And so
oh, that's beautiful.
that was really great. It was a really great celebration, and it was like specifically dedicated to workers of the city workers.
That's great. Now, we happen to be recording this interview on Mother's Day weekend, and you mentioned your mother being an inspiration to you. I would love to hear about your mother and anything you wish to share.
Yes, my mother is an inspiration to me because I was so shy as a child. I would go days without speaking to anyone. I was afraid to phone the movie theater because if a live person came on, I wanted to have the recording because if a person came on, I would get tongue-tied just speaking to the person asking what the movie. Now, you used to have to phone the theater to find out what the movie times are. Now you don't do that. Someone's like, what are you talking about? I'm portraying my age.
No, I remember. I'm a millennial, and I remember time before the internet. So
you had to phone the theater to find out the times of the shows. My mom put me in acting classes to get me to speak. She goes, oh, you're afraid to speak to people? You're going to speak to a bunch of people all at once.
Oh, wow.
And you're going to sing, and I sang, and I tap danced, and I learned scripts. And my mother was the inspiration for that. She put me in acting class to make sure that I would not stay shy forever. And from then, I just loved performing because it was one place where I could just shine. And my mom would be there clapping and bring the whole family, and we're clapping for me.
So how old were you?
Oh, it had to be junior high.
Oh, wow.
Junior high, yeah.
Oh, wow. And where was this?
In Denver, Colorado.
Oh, wow.
The original scene, Father Dwyer's original scene in Denver, Colorado.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so it was a Catholic school, and they put me in a role where I got to be, I guess, like the ingenue, the love interest, and I had little tap shoes on, and I tap danced and sang. That's entertainment. Belle and Jerome, that song.
That's so beautiful that your mother, saw this need and like, how can I help my daughter come out of her shell? And thank God there was acting classes.
Oh, yeah.
So it was her idea to put you into acting classes, or were you like, oh, I'm sort of interested? Like,
no,
how did you feel?
She pushed
you were like,
me. I was terrified.
So was there like pushback, or you're like, I ain't doing this? But then, like, tell me how it happened.
Well, she said, well, you're going to an acting class.
Get in the car.
Get in the car, yeah. The blue station wagon.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, yeah, that was
I grew up riding in a station wagon, too.
Oh, you did?
Well, I come from a really large family. I'm one of 9 children.
9?
Yes,
wow.
and I have a twin sister, even.
You have a twin?
Yeah,
twin.
I'm number 6, actually, in the lineup of the 9 siblings. And
oh, my goodness. That's huge. I thought 5. I come from a family of 5. I thought 5 was huge. 9.
Yeah.
Are you the older twin or the younger twin?
I'm actually the younger twin
twin.
by 2 minutes.
By 2 minutes.
That's
there
right.
you go.
That's right. So yeah, it's funny. You mentioned a station wagon, and like immediately my brain goes back to the smell of stale French fries and the old station wagons who had the seat facing backwards. And of course, it was I was born in '84, and so like it was the '90s, and so nobody was wearing seatbelts. We should have been wearing our seatbelts.
We had no idea.
Yeah. And so like we would like prop up on our knees and like look forward and just ride that way, and anyway, so yeah. Good old times in the station.
In the station wagon. I always had like the little thing that would go down in the back, and during Halloween we'd hop on like it was like a parade float, and my mom would drive real slow, and then she slowed down, we'd hop off to go to the next house.
Smart. Oh my gosh, that's so smart. Yeah. Wow.
So she was just full of fun. And my father's a poet, Elmer E. Smith. He has a collection of poetry, 50 Generation Gap poems, and a poem that was about Adam and Eve that the Catholic Church banned because he wrote books of love poems to my mother, which were considered too racy, but would be very mild compared to what you hear in the average. It's, by today's standards, very mild.
Yeah. Well, that is a wonderful segue. So is he the one who inspired poetry, your love of poetry?
His poetry style, they called him a humorist because most of his poems are very funny. And he had a poem that he wrote that I thought it was normal that when company visited that the kids line up and recite poems. I thought this is what other families were doing.
Nice.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
This is unusual that when you're a guest in the Smith household, that you're going to get treated to a poetry recital.
Yeah.
So I had a poem called Red Hot Sue, which was about my mom. My mom's name is not Sue, it's Mary Jane. He hadn't explained to us like pet names for loved ones.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, he called her Red Hot Sue.
And so you were just, that's her name.
Yeah. That's my dad's name for my mom.
Yeah. That is adorable.
So that was her poem. He had a poem that's my mom. She liked the poem. She liked the attention, but she said, "But Elmer, I want a poem with my name in it." So then he wrote a poem called Mary Jane. Mary Jane, she nearly drove me totally insane, but I love her all the same. Yes, her name is Mary Jane. There's your poem with your love poem with your name in it.
Nice. She got what she asked for. Well, tell me about your poetry. I was just looking at your Facebook this morning, and I didn't realize that you did poetry. And I believe you even had listed that you had some on the radio, maybe? Or?
Oh, yes. Poetry from Teachers and Writers Collaborative. That was more like a kid's poem talking about hygiene day.
Oh, okay.
Brushing your teeth, combing your hair, washing your face.
I absolutely love that stuff. And like just recently, my daughter's 8 months old. I didn't even know this existed until obviously I had a daughter, but Miss Rachel is quite huge on YouTube.
Oh, Miss Rachel.
Miss Rachel. I'm sure people listening who have young kids are like, oh, yes, we know about Miss Rachel. Please don't sing any of her songs. Just because you have to listen to them on repeat. But what's so wonderful about her is she basically made this show on YouTube. She lives in New York, and she made this show on YouTube that's basically for babies, and it teaches them about speech, and like she actually does methods that speech therapists use, and so like it's literally just her singing songs and saying words and like doing things that help babies learn how to talk.
Oh, that is lovely.
And, yeah, it's absolutely wonderful, and so you mentioned poetry for children about hygiene, like that seems like a small thing, but like. Children really learn. They learn through repetition, and they learn through rhyming, and they, that sing-song type of thing. Like children really latch onto that. And, my baby's only 8 months. She has not said her first word, but she is babbling quite a lot.
Oh, she's getting ready.
She's getting so close. I'm pretty sure Dada is going to be her first word.
She's Daddy's girl.
Yeah, so I don't even mind. I think it's adorable. And so, yes, poetry for children. I love that. You should put it into a book.
That's what I'm thinking. I need to get an illustrator and put it into a book.
I actually know an illustrator. Her name's Billy. She actually wrote the script to the short film I was was talking about
Oh,
earlier.
wow.
Yeah, she's an amazing illustrator. Lives here in Astoria.
Oh, wow, that's
And
great.
yeah, she's incredible. So yeah, if you
Oh.
need somebody,
Oh, yeah,
hook
I'd
you
look up Billy. That would be nice.
Yeah, she's really great. So your mom made you take these acting classes and really come out of your shell.
Yes.
And that was in Denver.
That was in Denver, yeah.
And so how did you get to New York?
I got to New York because my mom encouraged me to pursue my interests. And she even said, oh, I wish there's a way we could make a studio above our house for you to work in. But we lived like in basically the suburbs of Denver. And when I told her I wanted to come to New York, she really encouraged me. She even found me a job working as a nanny, so I had a job and a place to stay.
Oh,
you know.
nice.
And she had worked for a nanny for a family. And when the family was coming here to New York, she had me interview with them, and they brought me as their nanny.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and it wasn't my first time to New York, though. I had written an essay for the Girl Scouts Mile High Council. And at that time, I was thinking I wanted to pursue the sciences. I wanted to pursue science, and it was about alternative energy resources. And we had a symposium at Marymount College to go to, and I wrote an essay about alternative energy. It won an award, and I got to go on this trip. During the trip, they kept us under lock and key, and we could only look out the tour bus window to see the city. And I said, when I get a chance, I'm coming back here to live in the city.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a dream I put on the back burner. Fast forward to several years later, my mom began to suffer having poor balance, memory problems. She used to go everywhere, and she said one day she got into the car, and she couldn't remember the sequence of how to turn the car on and how to turn the pedal, and she just sat in the car, and I think someone had to come get her, and it turned out she was suffering from Parkinson's, dementia. She was losing her ability to sequence, to think, to balance. She was given something called carbidopa-levodopa, which is a dopamine that helped a bit, but it was progressive. At one point, she had suffered a fall and was in the nursing home. And she was in a nursing home that she had worked in her younger years, taking care of patients.
Oh, wow.
And she was placed in the same nursing home as a patient.
Wow.
And I was visiting with her. I was already living in New York at that point, but I came back to visit with her and sit by her bedside. And at one point, she looked at me and she said, Ella, you go back to New York and do your thing.
Oh.
And here she is suffering, and she's telling me, go back to New York and do your thing. Go back and pursue your dream.
I love that.
So,
I love that. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm tearing up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. You know, having my daughter and thinking about, like, you know, what is she going to be into? You know, my husband and I both working in the film industry, sometimes we're so exhausted, we're like, oh, please don't work in the film industry, little child. But you never know what your children will want to do someday. And I love hearing that. You know, I think a lot of mothers would be like, oh, stay here, stay with me, I want you close. But, you know, she's like, spread your wings, get out there.
Yeah, that's what she was like, go do your thing. Yeah. And that's exactly what she said. And I'm like, here you are, I want, go. She's like,
yeah.
But that's one side of her. The other side of her, she wanted me to, she wasn't, when she was actually, when it had progressed and she was nearing her end, I was working in my mom was always up on everything. She asked my sister, she was in the hospital again, and she'd been in the hospital and out so many times I felt that, oh, she's going to be fine. Because in my estimate, I was like, oh, she's having another episode. This time she had caught in a cold, and the cold had worsened into pneumonia. I'm thinking, oh, the doctors got her. They're going to give her antibiotic. She'll be back, bouncing back again. But she insisted, my sister, who was visiting with her at her bedside, that she wanted a FaceTime call with me. She is smart enough. She kept up with technology.
Oh,
she didn't keep anything away from her.
I love that. My mother was similar to
that.
Yeah. No.
So I'm at work taking a FaceTime call. I said, I stepped away from my desk. I said, oh, Mom, it's Wednesday. I'm going to finish the work week, and I'll be there on a Saturday. I'll take Friday off maybe, and I'll get a flight out Friday morning. She cursed me out. She's like, you come here now. She told me to go to H-E double toothpaste.
Yeah. Well, you better get over there, but you know, then you can go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I better. So I told my boss, I'm sorry, I have to take the rest of the week off.
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
Yeah.
My mom wants to see me.
Well, I'm glad that you got that time, you know, like, because I'm sure it's hard to see, you know, your mother in that state, and like you know, those types of illnesses, like it robs you of them, and it's so heartbreaking.
I wasn't prepared. I really thought she was going to bounce back again.
Yeah.
And she didn't. And it was
sorry.
It was the end.
Yeah.
That's what she's trying to tell me.
Yeah.
Like, stop being, no, don't you go about with your regular life. I want you here now.
Yeah.
She was a beautiful dancer. She's a hairdresser. She could do makeup and hair and nails, and gorgeously dressed. Sense of style. That's my mom.
And I can see she passed that on to you.
Well, I tried. Actually, speaking of style, I was opposite, complete tomboy. You just put me on a ripped t-shirt or put on some jeans or whatever, and off I go, no makeup. My makeup was done by my neighbor, who that's a segue, I want to mention his name, Anthony Isambert.
Yeah.
Isambert, like he's on down the road. And he also has an online magazine, The Driven Magazine. He's a fashion photographer, celebrity makeup stylist, and I get to live right next to him, and he's like helping me with my sense of style.
I love it. You look amazing.
Thank you.
Look amazing.
I feel amazing. You are amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm working on the sense of style. My younger sister, she inherited my mother's sense of style.
Yeah.
And so she dresses herself beautifully. And I went to go visit her coming off the plane. I think it was a really early morning flight, and I may have just put a jacket over pajamas and gone on the flight because I'm shameless.
Yeah. Travel in comfort. That's the way I do it.
It was like a 6 a.m. flight or something like that. I got off the plane. She goes, I know you just got off the plane, but do something with yourself.
Oh my gosh, I love the sister bond. I have 4 sisters.
You have 4, yeah.
I have 4 sisters, and yes, if you need someone, they love you more than anyone else, but they will also tell you the truth.
Yes, I'll tell you the truth.
I love that.
Your sister's a twin, or is it?
Yeah, my twin sister is fraternal. My mother, she's passed away 13 years ago.
So sorry.
But she had bright red hair, and everyone in my family has bright red hair except me. I have brown hair, and so it's interesting because my twin sister also has red hair, red hair, and I have brown hair, so we don't look alike at all. And I'm a little bit of like the odd one out, which
you're like, come on, right?
Yeah. But you know, it worked to my advantage growing up, because when you have 4 gorgeous redheaded sisters running around our little small Midwest town, everyone knows who you are. But if you are brunette, nobody knows who you are.
So you could kind of be behind the scenes and do. Yeah.
I could get away with more. Basically. Yeah. So you know, you just pros and cons here.
There you go. You're like camouflage.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, you're gorgeous, by the way. Of course you know.
Thank you. So yeah, good times in the Midwest. So tell me, how long have you lived in Astoria?
Oh, let's see. I moved to New York the year of my 21st birthday. And it was supposed to be just a 1-year trip. I was supposed to live in New York for a year, get a feel for it, and then come back and finish college, because it was my sophomore year from Loretta Heights College. So I came to New York, but then I met Powell. I fell in love. Fell in love with the city. I fell in love. He lives in Astoria. That's how I fell in love. First with the man, then with Astoria.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. And so I've been in Astoria for, my gosh, over 30 years now.
Oh, wow.
How does time go like that?
I know.
30 years? Yeah.
Well, and even just mentioning my mother passed away from breast cancer, and I just this morning, Mother's Day, you kind of think about her a lot, and I was like, 13 years ago is when that happened, and I was like 13 years. Yeah, it's so bizarre. And having my own daughter now, like I think about her a lot, and so time flies. But anyway, so you moved here, you fell in love with the place.
I fell in love with Astoria, yeah.
Yeah.
And at first, I was afraid to come to. I've been living in Manhattan. I've like lived in every borough. Had a roommate and roommates in the Bronx and Co-op City. When it was like six college girls live in the Co-op City. It was practically its own like sitcom. You know,
Yeah.
we were sharing. Then I moved to when I was in Manhattan. When I was a nanny, I was living in a family in Manhattan. I lived, I think, in every borough. And then I came here to Queens by invitation for the birthday party I mentioned, and I met Powell.
Yeah.
Powell, Chucky Baby Leonard, and fell in love
Yeah.
with his honey glazed ham.
Is that a euphemism for something?
That was like the most incredible date.
Oh.
And then we started dating. I was here all the time in Queens. At first, I didn't know what to think of Astoria. I thought, oh my gosh, Astoria, it's like the wilderness. There's going to be roving gangs with bats. I don't know why there's going to be roving gangs with bats. I don't know why. You know, like baseball bats.
Yeah.
I thought there was like lawlessness. Like it's like the outer edges of...
Like Clockwork Orange or something.
Like Clockwork Orange. Yeah, youths running around with bats and hoodlums, you know.
Yeah.
Like
And then you get here and it's just like Greeks and Italians and delicious food.
Yes.
Yeah, it's my favorite place.
Yeah, and I love the restaurants, like you said. Yeah. We fell in love with our favorite bar, Cronin and Phelan's.
Oh.
And that's like a Irish pub that's like almost 100 years old, that pub is.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that place.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the bartenders, Dave Crimmin, is a magician. He does magic at the bar. As we got to know him, like we've met so many incredible people through there that they've become part of our shows that we've done over the years.
Yeah.
Stand-up comedy magic Irish Dave Crimmin. He
Oh,
also
that's
does,
so cool.
Yeah.
You know all the cool people.
All the cool people are in Astoria.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. I love that.
All the cool people are in Astoria, yeah. So I just love it.
Oh, that's so great. That's so wonderful. It's been an absolute delight getting to know you and
It's been
sharing this
delightful.
time with you. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Drake.
Well, that's our show, but the fun doesn't have to end. To find out where The Kong Show will be performing next, check out Ella's Instagram at The Kong Show on TV or follow The Kong Show on Facebook. I hope this show inspires you to get out and meet your Astoria neighbors. The Astoria podcast is recorded and edited by me, Bree Matan. To show your support, please rate and subscribe because that will get the show to more ears within our community. If you're interested in being on the show, please visit AstoriaPodcast.com to learn more.